Oh, what a massive change in the weather. Today is now dull, grey and horrible. Perfect, in fact, for staying in and doing a bit more modelling. Hello, welcome back to the Adrian project. I'm Adrian with a face for radio, and on today's episode we're going to be doing part 4 of our Eagle transporter build from the MPC round 2 148 kit. So make sure you've got plenty of change for the swear box and cue the music. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you've got plenty of change for your swear box, like I said, as we're going to start and do the cage for the engines at the back. Right, we look at section 21 in the instruction first. It's just gluing two pieces together, fairly straightforward. Just make sure that you do have that vertical bar on the right side when you put in the piece on, and that's pretty straightforward. That's the easy part. So that takes you on to sections 22, 23 and 24. Now if you follow the instructions, it tells you to do part 22 and let it dry, part 23, let that dry, and then put the two subsections together as part 24. However, if you look at the instructions, there are going to be some angles you need to get absolutely spot on. And of course, as with many of the kits, the instructions on it aren't always as clear as they should be. So what I did was I followed the lead of E-models and did sections 22, 23 and 24 all in one go. I did use a slower setting glue. This will give you plenty of wriggle room to make sure that you get all the pieces in the right position. So as you can see on this photo, I've taken all the parts from the sprue, cleaned off all the mould lines, took care of any ejector pin marks that needed to be done, and spent a good hour getting it right, and it will drive you up the wall. As you can see on this first photo, I've got the parts from section 21 in the right position. However, I did have a bit of a kerfuffle putting all the parts together as stated in part 24. Realised I got one the wrong way round, so I swapped it round, and it wasn't until I'd taken this photo that I realised I'd swapped the wrong one round, and now they were both in the wrong position. But like I say, I used a slower setting glue, which meant that I could easily prise apart the parts and swap them around and get them in the correct position. Also, if we look at this photo here, this is all to do with section 23. Now you've got these pipes, whatever they are, that come out at an angle, and it's not too clear which holes they should go in. Now, if you look at section 22, with just the straight horizontal pipes, you'd have thought they'd have gone in the middle 4 holes, but they don't. They go on the outer 4 holes, and the pipes that you've got at an angle go in the holes below them, as you can see in this photograph here. And after lots of swearing, bits falling out, as they do when you do on these little tricky fiddly bits, take your time, don't rush, and you'll get there eventually. Not as hard as you think it's going to be, but then again, it's not that easy either. So like I say, just take your time and look at the instructions, and like I say, do have a look at this final photograph so you can make sure you know where the pipes go in at that angle, which holes they do actually go in. Okay, so while all that little lot was left to dry overnight, we'll skip back a couple of sections 19 and 20. We are assembling the drive engines, and this is really straightforward. It's just gluing 2 pieces together, as you can see in the picture. What I did was glued them, wrapped elastic bands around them, keep them in place, make sure you've got a nice tight join. On section 20, you've got 2 spherical halves glued together. These together went absolutely perfectly. Didn't need elastic bands on them or anything. And there is a little ridge around the centre of the sphere as well, which does hide the seam line, which is excellent. Okay, so that will move you on, after those have dried, the following day on to part 25 and 26. And this is fitting in the drive engines, as we can see. Part 25, you put the subsections in that you did in part 19, and like it said, you slip them in through the hole, you turn them round until the 2 pipe ends meet up, and then you glue them together. Section 26, as you can see, it's just putting on the 2 little spherical ball thingies that you do. What I did with them, I just dry fitted them on, and when it came to doing the pipes, which are parts N73 and N74, that meant I did have a little extra wiggle room just to make sure I could get them into place properly. So as you can see, put all those into place, and then we put all the little pipes on, and that was the drive engine section complete. If you look at this next photo, how I said I left those parts off the back pods because they did need to be positioned right. Give myself a pat on the back there, because there are 2 little holes that those 2 ends do go in. So I'd left it until I'd got this section ready, and then I knew I'd got the parts in the right order. And then I just skipped ahead a bit. There is a little pipe for section 35 on the instructions. I think this goes in the middle somewhere on the back where the engines are, and again it's just 2 halves glued together, as you can see. A bit of Tamiya tape around them just to keep them into place, and that is all the white parts done for the engines. So here we are, and this is the final result. After all the effing and jeffing and fiddling and bits falling off when they shouldn't and getting things round, finally when you do it all right, that is what you should have. It's your engine drive section all nicely in place. That is a little bit. Now that bit will go through there on the finished model, and it will go into the slot that you've got on your back pod there, so you don't have to go filling that bit thinking that you're going to see it, because you're not. Also, these two holes here, you're not going to see those because, like I say, the engines, when you put them together, doing this very gingerly after remembering about the last episode, there we go. You can see them at certain angles, so if you want to film them, that's up to you. And like I say, you've got those two pipes on the back there. They do fit into holes on the pins there. So that is your drive engines done. There we go. Moving away, sorry about that. So that is your drive engines. And you can do a big sigh of relief and go and buy yourself a beer with all the change that you've put in the swear box. So, after the stress and strains and swearing of doing all those fiddly cage bits, it's nice to get back to doing some plain, simple box building. Okay, so those of you that can remember my review video for this kit, I did mention that I noticed that the part A33 that goes on the bottom of the passenger pod looked a little warped, so I cut it from the sprue. And yes, it was warped. So what I did was I got my wife's hairdryer out on it, warmed it up just so it was just bendable enough, and very carefully I flattened it out the best I could. I don't think you can see from that photo there how bad the warp was, but I did manage to get it as flat as I was going to get it. Right, so then we move on to sections 27 and 29, which I did both at the same time. Again, 27 tells you to glue these two parts on and let it dry before you fit the walls on, but there is room there to make errors, and if you get them on at the wrong angle, the side walls and the end bulkheads aren't going to go flush together. So I would advise do sections 27 and 29 at the same time. So as you can see, cut all the necessary parts from the sprues and clean them all up. Like I say, very simple procedure this, and what you'll end up with is a nice box shape. As long as you've done it right, just take your time and you'll get all the edges flush. So I then moved on, after that dried, the following day onto part 31, and that's putting all the little greeblies on the bottom, all the little bits and bobs. I did have a problem with one of the sections, B35, the hole just wasn't big enough, I don't know why. I tried drilling it out, just ended up cutting the cating pin off, well, cut it off in half, and then it went on smoothly enough. As we can see from that photo there. Then of course, after all they dried, I could fit on a 33, which I did, and just to give myself extra peace of mind when I fitted that, while the glue was drying, I put a couple of cans of Humbrol spray paint on top just to make sure that the bottoms were all flush to the bottom of the command pod. Okay, so following day, after all that had dried, I went back to section 28. That is fitting sort of like the slanting roof sections. I haven't put the glass in this because I'm going to spray paint those black. I'm not going to go the aftermarket route with the interior, and I won't be taking the pod on and off, which is an option for you. It's just going to be the static model. So I left them off for the time being, glued those into position. As you can see, I held them in position with Tamiya tape till they dried, and there we see that is basically the passenger pod built. There is another section, excuse me, windy pops, section C32, which is the roof that goes on at a later date, but I'm just holding fire until I've painted it all, and then I can get the glass put inside, make sure I don't get any white paint on the glass, and then that roof section will be glued onto the top. And after all that's done, apart from the little boxes that the little thruster engines, manoeuvring thruster engines go onto, that is all the white parts of the plastic kit done. And as you can see, when you've done all that, you've got yourself a nice little passenger pod. It is going to require just a smidgen of filler. There are a few little hairline gaps around there because you think this is going to be in space, so everything will have to be airtight. Easy enough job, just to fill in, swipe the sanding stick, and the job's a good one. There we go. We've even left some Tamiya tape on it. Missed that bit. Can we get that bit off? Yes, we can. There we go. So it's like I say, as you can see, I haven't put the glass in because that's going to need to be painted black, so you can't see inside. Also, I've left off these two parts here, and they are on the grey sprue, and they're going to have to be painted black as well, so I'm going to do them separately. Of course, when everything's been painted white and the glass is put in, that's your roof section. That will go onto the top there. You will have to drill 2 holes in these parts there, just using the holes on that part as a guide. That is for your screws to go in when it all goes together, and that is held on by the framing on top of the eagle. And like I said, that, apart from the 2 little thruster boxes, which I do have somewhere, don't know what I've done with that. Hang on a minute, bear with. I don't know, I put that one I was saving, but you've got these little boxes there. They will be needed to paint white, and then you put the little thruster bells on it, but you can't be gluing those on yet because you've got decals to go on there before you put those on, so do bear that in mind. And like I say, when you've done all that, that is all the white parts of the kit done. And yes, I know there'll be 1 or 2 of you out there that like to see a quick sneaky peeky of how it's going to look when it all gets put together. Obviously, if nothing's glued together, this is all resting on each other. There's nothing dry fitted. I don't want to put any pressure on any joints or anything, because we know what happened in the last video when I did that. But as you can see, it's a fair size kit. I'm 6'2". So I've got long arms, long fingers, and it is as long as my forearm up to the end of my fingers. We still haven't got the drive bells on yet. They've got to be all done. I haven't got the landing gear on yet. The head's not on properly either. So as you can see, this is what it looks like at the minute. Of course, next video will be dealing with the grey parts of the kit. I've already started on some, as you know from a previous video. These go onto the bottom of these pods here, which you attach the landing feet to. I did have to work a little on a couple of these because a dry fit had showed that they weren't sitting flush. They are a little bit of a warping. I don't know why that is. Probably just a bit of lackadaisical engineering on that part, I don't know, but I do suggest that when you come to doing these parts, dry fit them. If they don't fit flush, then take the sanding stick, making sure you don't knock your pins off, and do that. So, but that will be carrying on in the next video. And that's the end of yet another episode. I hope you all enjoyed that one. If you did, and you haven't done so already, could you please remember to subscribe to my channel. At the moment, I'm aiming to get 1,000 subscribers, and as soon as I hit that 1,000th subscriber mark, I will donate at least £20 to Macmillan nurses here in the UK. For those of you living outside of the UK and you don't know who the Macmillan nurses are, they are there to help everyone with cancer live life as fully as they can, providing physical, financial and emotional support. I myself have had their services firsthand, and I can tell you they are exceptional. A lot of the time they do have to rely on public donations, so if you'd like to find out more about Macmillan nurses, or in fact give a little donation yourself, then please visit www.macmillan.org.uk. Okay, I'd like to thank you all again for watching. It's very, very much appreciated. Don't forget, you can still follow me on Facebook and on Twitter if that's going to be easy for you. And here's to seeing you all again on the next episode of the Adrian Bout Project.